Hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to Dreamy Dreamland. This is me, your Al Bob, your sensei, here to tell you a story. I just did a live show for about, I don't know, half hour or so, and then it seemed was over, right? And no one seemed to watch, no one seemed to be there, no one commented. And oh, is that one person? Yes, there's one person. Hello there. Is that you, AI, or is that a human being? So here we are, and what do you think, right? Um, Basically, there is this thing going on called a coup, right? Now, the coup pretty much started in 1776 or 1812 or, 1860 or, you know, 1891 or 1910. Let's see. Uh, so the movie V for Vendetta was in 2005. And that movie basically gave a perfect picture of where we are today. Go watch that movie, right? And at the end of that movie, the only way that dictatorial world of the Teflon tech bros, billionaire oligarchs, was ended was with everyone coming out on the street and not being violent. Everyone got the black cape and mask and hat in a Amazon box, over a few weeks and on a certain date, you know, you know they just went into the street and said, no, we're not doing this. And that's really the only, and then we have to, the democracy that we had like back, you know, before election day in November was still an illusion, was still a fascist dictatorship, but it had the illusion of freedom, of democracy, of that. But nobody exercised it. Oh, maybe 60% of the population who could vote would vote. Um, and that they were just basically continuing the illusion, right? So, because there is no difference between the Democrats and Republicans, you can just see that by, here the Republicans are basically pushing past the envelope, doing things that are, blatantly against the Constitution, but no one seems to care. Right? They're just doing it, right? And it'll be interesting to see what happens, right? And the Democrats are going, oh, we don't know what to do. Well, we'll wait till the, midterms and then they'll vote them out. Well, no. Within a few weeks, basically, they're going to say, okay, we're going to have martial law because what's happening, the basic population who are like freaked out about this, if they can, they're kind of going to the street and they're not waiting for anybody to lead them. Like a good example of this was in DC, there is a governmental, you facility action that basically helps protect and facilitate labor disputes, right? And Elon was heading there with his teenage monkeys to go rip it down. And what they do is they don't break the they don't you know, try to say, oh, this doesn't exist anymore. What they do is they go and take the servers, take all the data out, and then they put backdoors in so they can go in and manipulate the portals for the public who want to get access to their information in the government. They can't do it, And so they have basically done this to about 15 different, like the FAA, you know, in the last week and a half, basically, 4 aircraft have had commercial aircraft accidents. More than 200 people have died. You know, there hasn't been any commercial deaths like that for almost 20 years, even though the FAA has never been upgraded or really given the resources it needs. I mean, its radars are still from World War II. I mean, they have been doing a job of keeping people, a couple 100 million people getting on an airplane and being safe. Well, that's not the fact now because they got rid of the head guy, they got rid of the safety board, they got rid of this other board that basically looks at the potential. Oh, we better watch out for this, and so they've taken out 4 of the main cogs of the FAA that keeps us safe. Right? And now they're going at they got Doge, not Doge, but DEI is like no, that's and so they're scrubbing everything out of everything in the government of that, right? And it's DEIA, diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. And so they're getting rid of all of that. And they've already taken out, I'd say, at least half the governmental, but they've taken that out of everything in the government, right? And they have already hit the databases and the big important ones, like the IRS, right? They got all your information. And so look towards in the next few weeks an economic collapse of a level. If you were to take all the economic collapses that have occurred in America since, 1776, and there's probably been about 100 of them, put it to the 10th power, that is the, so they're going to replace money and finances with your face. Your face. No, it's not going to be like a tattoo on your hand. It's your face. Your face. Facial recognition. That's going to be your driver's license. That's going to be your everything, right? And everyone needs to get their digital ID. Well, they already got it. They got enough on you that they already got the digital ID. They know who everybody is. And they're just doing that to force people into a corner, right? The people who can't, who don't do it or can't do it, they will still get their digital ID because their face is going to be it. Right? And that's going to come very soon. Let's see. Where's my report? Let's see what you guys are saying here. What do you guys say? Talk amongst yourselves. What do you think? Because you guys are the ones who are really going to have to step up to this. I mean, I'm doing my best, but I live out in the middle of nowhere. I have nowhere to get transportation. The roads all around me have been destroyed. Let's see. So today I got out and about because I had a few things to do and I wanted to come here. And I basically So this is what all the roads around me look like. Since September, when the Hurricane Helene came through here and obliterated everything, the developers have bought up all the properties that the Pokey folk had, and they're rushing to build houses. All of the roads, these are secondary roads. These are farm roads. These aren't state roads. This is the shape that our roads are in all over. I mean, if I, took the time to stop at every inch of the roads, the 50 or so thousand miles of secondary and tertiary roads, this is what it looks like. The state and county have done nothing for 5 months. September, October, November, December, January. Here it is, February.
So what's your fave?
And that's because 321, which was the
Here, take a look at this.
road going north to south.
This is what all the roads around me go.
I bet. And they're gonna get worse with this coming rain and stuff.
You know what did this? All the big trucks that are bringing stone to build the millionaires' houses up in Boca. And also that 321, it's not, there's all the tractor trailers that run 321 go on this road. This is Craig's branch. It's like fly run, big fly run, 67, 167, all look like this.
Yeah, you can see that, because, coming, what do you call it? Jack Creek, American Highway, that,
Looks
you
like,
can see the damage coming through the wall.
yeah,
It's like this road is going to fall apart. I'm surprised it hasn't. 26 going from Johnson City to Irma, that right-hand lane is a disaster.
so somebody, not the county, somebody, this was like a gigantic hole, your car fell into it. And they, I don't ride on this all the time, but a lot of people do, so some guys go to spend it.
In the county, we get mad and say you shouldn't have done it.
Yeah,
It's like, well, what do you expect us to do? It's like if you take the bridge and food. They kind of got mad about that. It's like, we have to get in and out.
Right. One day you see the Indians, like 80 to 90 people, you say that, so that 40 people have to be. That's why they're not fixing this. They're making it so bad to people who live here, who leave.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's why they're not fixing 321. I went over there the other day, and it's as bad as it was the first day. They haven't done anything.
Wow.
Not only that, so I have to go to food sometimes. You know, when they got rid of the portals, everything like that, my HMO kind of collapsed under digital things. So they said a certain group of people didn't deserve health care.
Wow.
And I was one of them.
Wow.
I have no real health care.
Huh.
And I don't really care here. Have you always had this? This is your point of
Yes.
Did you do a job that like put stress on this over the years?
Well, growing up, I was a farmer.
Yeah, this wasn't repetitive.
So, lifting hay bales, et cetera. And I garden now. I was a nurse for a while, so,
Nurses are moving people around.
right,
You do things you shouldn't do.
right.
Yes. So this is nothing broken. It's just a visual thing that you
Right.
strain and then it doesn't really hurt. It's just stiff.
Right. Some of it, I think, is where, when I was small, I had strabismus and I have severe astigmatism and severe nearsightedness. So I think
Yes.
in trying to compensate that before they got me glasses,
Right.
I
You were holding your
I was
head.
holding my head in a certain way.
Yeah.
And I also had
Auditory.
amblyopia too, so my left eye would go off somewhere. So, just trying to be able to focus on something, it helped if I kept my head steady, I guess. That's my theory.
Yeah. I would say something because things like that, they actually start in childhood. They're like that habit, and we're not really aware of it. So we are, and that's usually about our age right now. And so what's really interesting about the HMO, I had my doctor is such a dweeb. He's really terrible. I had a great doctor, right? And he and then COVID destroyed him.
How did you sort of
Right, and so, and he got sick 3 or 4 times, and a large corporation said, listen, we want to buy your HMO because it's 501c3, we can plug into it, we then won't have to pay taxes. So they gave him a big check, and he wasn't married, didn't have kids, and his whole thing was his wife for about 30 years until he was about to kill him. so took the check and he sold his house. And he called me up. I was going to see him the next day. He goes, you know, I'm not going to be there. I said, wait, you got COVID again? Listen, I'm about to get on an airplane. He actually called me from the airport.
Wow.
He went down to, and he left his car, his beater car. He took off the license plate and threw it away and left it in the parking lot. He got on the airplane. And he's waiting. I don't know why I'm calling you, but I'm getting on an airplane. I'm going to some foreign place with the pretty girls on the beach. And I'll drink cocktails with little umbrellas in it. I'm not telling anybody because I haven't really told anybody. I don't want to talk to you, but I thought I'd tell you that. I saw that place. It's not what it used to be. It's never going to be. And so they just kept falling apart. And then I got a letter saying, sorry.
Well, healthcare in the Tri-Cities has gone down this month since Raleigh Falls took it.
Yeah.
I wasn't real pleased with one part because I thought they had too much unlocked with the ballot,
That's right. And they're doing a terrible job.
basic Walmart, wonderful
Yes,
comparison.
exactly. They were fairies and it was rainbows and unicorns. And so, yes, so we're in and what's going on? We're in a coup. We're in a corporate coup. And people don't, and the thing is, we've always had it. It's just look nicer. And now they're going to go, no. Do you ever read 1984?
Yeah, they
You should read it again. Because Orwell's amazing because he is basically describing exactly what we're going into. And there is this, that book is like Winston, the character, the picture of what the world is like, his relationship with his girlfriend and the big brother. But read that book. Because he was rewriting history. And he actually, and he was really brilliant. And,
Right.
and they realized that this guy wasn't one of us, but we're going to let him do this because he does a good job.
move it to verbally.
Right. And he has this friend that's rewriting the dictionary. He's saying that, in 5 years, past will be gone because we're taking the words that describe what it was away.
Exactly.
That's what's going on right now. And it's so prescient, that book. And I talked to a bunch of scholastics. And I said, you ever read 1984? No. Just tell me about it. I said, you've never read that book? You're teaching sociology. You've never
Not
read that 1984.
Yeah.
And they said, well, just tell me about it. I said, no. The way is to read the book because the way it's written, I can tell you the story, but that's nothing. It's the way he describes it in the word. They had no idea.
I can say that most of what I've heard about our VA is good. I have heard a few bad stories.
Sorry, anyway.
The VA.
Oh, the VA.
The Veterans
Well,
Assistance.
the thing about the VA, every VA is different. I used to work for them,
Yes.
and they're all different. Some are amazing, great, and some just only get it. Because it really, plus it's an Aussie military thing, it's the colonel or who's ever in charge. And if that guy's a righteous guy who's been at it, really has been there, been in the field, seen people blown up, it's really good. Otherwise, if you're just a bureaucrat, they're just phoning it in to get their 20 so they can retire at the top of the heap to get a nice check.
But I know people who have moved here
For
because
the
of
question,
VA.
like I said, they're like,
Right now, it's very, most of it is very good.
Right.
The psychology part, I kind of wonder about.
right, because see, that's a tough one, because what I did was I was a protocol guy, and I would go and try and mix and match their better spots and try to build up their weaker spots. And one of the most important things is the psychological, because these guys come off blown up, and they're in trauma.
Right.
Before they can fix the body, they're gonna fix the mind. And some of those hospitals get it, others don't. But in the big picture of the VA, from the, where it comes from. And that's another thing that's gonna be taxed, won't exist. If they privatize it, that'll be the end.
The reason why I'm not really impressed with psych, or because I'm not, once you get a psych diagnosis,
It sticks with
it
it.
sticks with you, and it doesn't matter what your symptoms are,
Right.
what's going on. That sticks with you. That just about killed my friend Kim.
Yeah.
Because she had severe depression.
Right.
I mean, she had really severe.
And they basically blamed her.
To the point where there were times with the stuff that she put on Facebook, I was about ready to call and have a welfare check on kind of thing. Well, anyway, they kept treating her for depression, and it didn't work. It just seemed to get worse, no matter what they did. And she was also suffering from headaches and for some other things. Her headache got so bad, this was 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago. Another friend took her to the VA emergency room, and they actually did it on her, thinking that she had a stroke. She had an meningioma sitting right here, meningioma sitting right here on her head. They've been growing there.
And the psych guys didn't even,
Didn't even
right.
check, or they were ready to do electric shock.
So we,
And then they did the surgery to remove that,
and that was it.
and that was it. Her depression was gone. She had no side effects. She came out of surgery talking to us, demanding her cell phone, able to move everything, because they said that she might have some
Well, that is the problem of medicine in general.
true. That is
Not just the VA, and not just that, like, read that.
huh? What did you do?
You know what I did? I sat in the waiting room and talked to people and listened to their problems and then gave them advice. And I did the same thing with this, my first 5 years I was there, I would do that, and I would only did was my doctor said, good, you're like our psychiatrist, right? And when I got there and did it when the corporation took over, the people I would talk to, I said, no, you have value, you shouldn't be pushed around out of the back of this way, right? Anyway, so that was, we had never touched anyone, I never screamed, I never jumped up and down, and I only brought the joy and wellness to the community. And so I had been given, I needed to go get some x-rays of all my joints, and I needed to go see this heart doctor and this and that. And I already had those things, I guess, I don't know, still about 30 days to get stuff out of them. So anyway, I went to the hospital, and this one nurse who had worked over there, I used to talk to her, and I read her palm, told her things about this, thing about this, thing about that. And she came over, I didn't see her, she came over to me, and I'm sitting in the waiting room to get this x-ray. She goes, oh, what do you have for us to go get this? And she goes, I have to thank you because you told me that. I realized how badly the administration was treating me. So I just went and looked for it, and I had to step over here in the hospital, and they paid me 5 times when I was getting over there, and they really appreciate me and tell me that they're really happy that I came because I do a great job. But that happened the day I got this letter. And so I went over there and I got, and they're going to keep giving me my Trulicity, my diabetes, but they first put me on a number of other drugs that were killing me. And I was like, they hated the fact that I kept saying, no, I want to, no, I'm the doctor, this is the drug to get. Now I need to try something else, right? And then I found this thing where I was a lab rat for this company, for this drug. And let's say, gets a cut of money to let me just where they just mail the drug to them and they just hand it to me and they get a cut of it. So they said, oh, you can't have any health care, but we will allow you to get your drugs delivered here, which is fine by me. This is how screwed up this is. And
That's how Kit was too, you know, she would research, she researches everything.
right.
She was a radio tech for the Air Force, and that's part of why she,
I would almost say that if she was around radio waves, that probably had something to do.
she was working on one of the stations, and she told the guy that was controlling, I'm out here, do not turn this on.
And he did. Yes. So that's
So it took 20 years for that thing to grow big enough for
right.
them to
Exactly.
realize it was
Right.
there.
And that's
But the VA said, no, the veterans say, no, that wasn't the cause of it.
right. And the thing is that the majority, so I'm a demographic guy, right? So I go out to do medical model and look at their demographics. And I never worked with that hospital that, and I worked with somebody over here who was looking at the bigger picture.
Right.
I'd be sent to that place and that place and that place. I'd only have a week or two or a month or whatever. And so I could get the bigger picture. And the interesting thing I saw was, I looked at the demographics. Since the Civil War, they started taking demographics of it, right? What that said that about. Up until 1911, 1.0001 person died of cancer. Now, it's 1 out of 3. It's obviously, cancer is caused by the environment we live in.
Is it, or do we have, are more people being tested for cancer?
Well, it's a little,
And is cancer was cancer not detected, even if people died of cancer, was it
no,
not
I looked
detected?
at it, I actually have that.
Misdiagnosed.
There is maybe 2% of that. Let's say it's more than 1. 2%, right? Or maybe somewhere between 2 and 20%.
Right.
But they knew what cancer was. And see, not everyone got a postmortem. Not everyone, you were dead, you got put
The
in a box.
coroner was an elected position, so
Right.
it was not necessarily a
But
physician.
still,
Because
still
I was
bad
looking
behavior.
like the Greene County death
Yeah.
records. One of them said, this one too, I'll laugh about this. Darn fool wouldn't see a doctor, was his death diagnosis.
Right.
A kid fell out of bed. I mean,
Right.
membranous croup, it's like, that one got me for a while, I thought, membranous croup.
Yeah, what's that mean? Yeah.
Diphtheria.
Well, the same
Do you
thing.
think about what diphtheria is?
Yes, Johnson County during the pandemic, they really didn't count how many people died. And I have a friend who's like the big lawyer in the city, and you know, in the pizza place was right next to the funeral home, which was right next to the courthouse in the city.
I think so. I've only been to Mountain City here.
And anyway, that was the best place to have anything to eat. I mean, the rest was like Burger King. But they had really good salads, salad bar, and they had good pizza. And it was a good Italian restaurant. Anyway, they had these nice tables outside with an umbrella and a couple of chairs. And me and that lawyer would sit there. And he was like something out of a movie because his whole business was guys who were, you know, in court from that for selling this drug or that. That was his thing, right? And he would get those people out. And no matter how many times I would have lunch with him there, someone would come, his phone would ring, he said, oh, I'm over here. He said, they would come and give him $1,500 or $800 or, right?
Wow.
And then, many a time, we would have lunch and there would be the mayor and the, one of the head judges, and this guy is taking money in front of those guys. Sure, I didn't see him give them money, but it was but that's how the legal system works. I mean, everything is as corrupt as you could imagine. There isn't a single politician who isn't taking some.
That's
has
not
some
saying
dirt.
every judge is corrupt.
Right.
I'm pretty sure my uncle is not corrupt.
Right.
And I can't imagine him being corrupt. So,
But that's because he was your uncle. I mean, there's corruption and then there's corruption. You know, just like going along to get along.
True.
I mean, I worked in the corporate world, and these guys, it's like unbelievable that they couldn't get along. They're like, oh, Elon Musk, and the ego is it. And it's in their own interest to work on this contract and get along, but they wouldn't. And I would see that kind of fan out into the whole institution, right? So it was all corrupt. It wasn't anything. And the worst thing, I would be watching this. Guys, yeah, you're doing this and you're making a profit by the quarter. But in 5 years, this is going to kill your company. You won't exist. And they would all say, oh, yeah, we kind of know that, but it doesn't matter because we have a golden parachute. When this thing ends, we're going to get this chunk of change. And we don't care about anybody else. Yeah, exactly. It was like, what? And virtually there wasn't, I did that, and that's one reason I got. I mean, I was in that really feeling thing, and I just was like, oh, I want to see this. And virtually every one of those moments would say, oh yeah, I'm a terrible person, but if I wasn't doing this job, there'd be a worse person in my place and things would be worse.
That's not exactly.
Right, that's not that your motivation shouldn't be that, right?
No. No.
Now you should be your best. That's kind of where I shoot for. I know I'm a moron and I'll make mistakes, et cetera, but I
always tell my kids, my girls, whenever we were somewhere volunteering or working or whatever, they need to see me. But other than me, I'm going to call them.
right. And you don't have
I
to
would
be
just say that. I wouldn't say, people would look at me here. Because
A, B, C, D.
A and B, the C of D. Rather than me on the call of duty. In other words, always leave the place better than what you found.
Yeah.
Do your best.
Yes.
When I was homeschooling them, and they would make mistakes, it's like, well, did you do your best?
Right.
No. Okay, well then do it over.
Right. And do your best.
And do your best.
And you don't have to be, no one's perfect. You can't be perfect.
Right.
Those people who are anal retention and they lose their mind because they have to be perfect.
Right.
You can't do that.
Well, that's what I grew up with.
And you can be your best. If that's what you grew up in, the anal retention, that's why your eyes cross.
If you were perfect, then you were good for video.
Yeah,
So it didn't matter.
right, exactly. So it's
I just gave up. I said, I can't please them. I don't care what they want.
Yeah.
God take over, maybe what you want
Yes,
to be.
exactly.
Because I don't understand what they're doing, what they want.
after I give someone a reading, my advice mostly is one, look 4 blocks down, see the moron coming at you there so you can get out of it. You're letting things get in your way. 2, just say, when you feel that uncomfortable worry creeping up your back, you go, God, I have no idea what I'm doing. Please take the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I do that all the time. I probably do that 20 times a day. Works out great,
That's, basically I did that when I was 5, which is, had to be the Holy Spirit, because
Yes.
that's not a normal 5-year-old response.
Well, that's your response. See, that not everyone's the same. So did you ever sense, when I came from a real Catholic family, my mother was really involved, my father was really involved in Catholic politics of the religion. So in that kind of family, one of the boys is going to be a priest. So that was me. That's why I kind of got shuffled out of the swirly, rabid family that I was in, because I was to be saved to be a priest. And so I had, a bishop always watching out for me. Bishop is a pretty big guy in that thing. And then a cardinal is only this other guy, it's just a few hats to the Pope, right? So anyway, I learned the Catholic religion and everything about it. And then they sent me on to a theological school where I learned about every religion. Because I was supposed to be like a political scientist of the Catholic Church. You know everything about everything. And that was fun. And I realized that they're all the same. There's only one God. They're all political entities on this earth, right? their books are pretty much the same if you read them, right? And not just take them. Most people read their book as like a law book. Like I'm going to litigate spirituality with God, like through this book. It's not it. It's more like a tuning fork. You know, the Bible, I mean, the King James, great, but it's also very pedantic and taken out of context from. Because when you start going deeper and deeper and deeper, where these things come from, it's not even close. Because like for 900 years, it was this dark age where no one could read or write, but people were making copies of the book, not even knowing what they were doing. They had nice handwriting, you know. They drew pretty pictures on each page, and that's how we got to King James. You know, then they kind of went through it and picked and choose what they really wanted. They left a lot of good stuff out of the King James. But no one really reads the Bible like that. You can be that tuning fork. You read something, and if it kind of strikes you like, ding, that's where you should focus on. Where it like really, God's like, hey, look at that again. Because that's what that is. And so life really isn't that tough once you realize that, first of all, you're not your body. This is just a avatar for our soul to experience the physicality and to play around with stuff to see what it is, right? But we don't. We punish ourselves, we torment ourselves, we do all kinds of things that isn't meant to be done. It's not what we're supposed to be here to be doing.
No, I'll probably have to head out.
Okay, so much for everyone's leaving at 4?
I think so.
Is that the time to close?
Yeah, it's almost that now, so, and I need to get somebody to tote some stuff for me.
Okay, I'll talk to you later then. Are you coming to the Valentine's party tomorrow?
Yeah.
I'll be here for you.
All right.
Okay.
Well, there's still two people. Did you hear any of that conversation? Did that get in there? We tuned out because we could barely hear you, but could not hear the lady next time. Okay. Like I don't, I didn't like stick the laptop in front of her. Right? So. Anyway, I'm back. I'm probably going to have to go. I did a show that seemed to not go up. I would say there's going to be a event where we're going to lose all the electricity. Everything's going to go. And then it's going to come back, and it's all going to be, it's the only thing that will be that you can go on is Skylink and X. That's it. There'll be nothing else. No other platform, period, right? And you, to be able to go on that and to, get your face put in as, your driver's license. You have to wear red all the time and kiss the ring of whoever is in charge, right? And that'll last, I don't know, but not very long because other crazy shit will. Just think of all the crazy shit that has occurred since Jack being whacked, right? And that's a null point, Jack getting whacked. And the 60s, that whole craziness. I mean, I grew up in, I was a teenager and then a early 20-year-old in the 60s. I was 10 in 1960. I was 20 in 1970. And so that's the interesting portent of that. It's like, if you go back and look at all the different crazy wacko stuff that has occurred, what we're going through now is just more of the same, right? And so what can I say except love yourself, love your neighbor as yourself. That's one reason why we are cruel to other people, because we're cruel to ourselves, right? We don't know how to really, since Jack was whacked, like John McAfee. Yes, I mean, there's so many people who have been martyred. Malcolm X. MLK. I mean, just John Lennon, Robert Kennedy. I mean, that's just a handful. There's more and more and more. I mean, there's just a ton of people, right? And death is not a big deal. As I get older and older and get closer to it, it's not a bit. I don't worry about it. I never really worried about it. I never. I just lived my life and did my best and had the greatest time. He tattooed, whacked. He knew beforehand. Yes, exactly. So anyway, and there are a lot of people who knowingly know that they could just go along to get along. They kind of don't. Now, I do something that's hard for most people to do. I am myself, right? I basically, I rock the boat all the time, but not, I'm that little pebble. I'm not that big of a wave, but it's a wave that goes and goes and goes and goes. And a lot of people in the hidden hand kind of know this, and so I'm allowed to do things because they realize that, Al, actually, he is doing something that we need that we can't do. Pretty much all of my, people, what do you do with your life? I said, well, I had a lot of skill sets. Well, I had the ability to do a lot of different things. And there were some people that would get upset with me. And I would go to them and say, so why are you upset with me? And we talk it out, and then they wouldn't, right? I've never let people stay upset with me. And whatever the institutional sect would throw me, it always turned out better, like my healthcare has been, and it's going to happen to everybody. I just got the heads up in a nicer kind of way that actually allowed me to go get better service with other people, which, that's kind of how it works for me. So just stay aware and realize. So I worked at a facility that was palliative care of people who were going to die soon, right? Not just old folk, but people who were going to die soon. So I hung out with them and helped them in lots of physical ways and emotional ways and psychological ways, but mostly I made them laugh and told them stories. And when nobody else would be with them when they died, I would be, right? And I would just tell them stories, which would put them to sleep, and then they would go easily into that good night, So I did a lot, I did that for almost through 6-8 months, right? And that was a great lesson to me. Right? I learned a lot from that. And so we are, we're watching the death of this, the United States is probably one of the most dictatorial, violent, has done more harm to planet Earth than any other place, worse than any other empire, because it hit it at the industrial age. We industrialized that stuff, Rome, Greece, Mesopotamia, Egypt, they didn't have the industrial age, right? They hit each other in the head with sticks, right? So, and then in the Middle Ages, so they had spears and horses and axes and swords, but we had, jet planes and anyway. And we sold all that technology to people who then would kill a lot more people. We did a lot of that. We farmed it out. So it's not something that you have to just be your best. Really, that's it. You don't have to. And part of that is to get involved. I mean, I've talked to a lot of people. Well, I don't want to do. I just like, I'm just nice to everyone. Well, that's good, but you should be I was talking to this one friend. She's very nice, and she's in her 50s, and she was a Air Force wife, and she had 2 kids who are now Air Force boys that have Air Force wives, and they're having Air Force kids. So they're like continuing it on, and she works in a flower shop, and she lets rich men take care of her, which is fine. That's good. And so she's getting her mind expanded by a lot. And she met me a number of years ago, and I kind of, put her in a spiritual spot, and it woke her up in a way that nothing ever had. So every now and then, when I get a sense, there are about 100 people I just kind of call out of the blue every now and then, because I can sense that they need to have a little talk with Al Bob. And that's why you guys come and watch the show, right? You get a little bit of Al Bob. So I was talking to her last week, and she had gone to and seen things that she had never seen or experienced, and she's with this guy who is in those environments, and so he's like knows it and comfortable with it, and shows her really great things, and she was like, whoa. Anyway, so she came back, and so I said, how did that open your eyes about this, that, and the other thing? She was, well, I said, that's right. So, I've given you a ton of books to read. Why don't you read those books? I've told you to journal your feelings. Did you journal any of your feelings? Oh, no. And so the things that still capture her, she hasn't read books about that I gave her, and hasn't really journaled about that stuff, that she could bring it up so she could get rid of it. But she is now experiencing things that it's like painting her into a corner. That'll be interesting to see. But anyway, we were talking about, she had no idea about what's going on in the world, even though she had just come from the Middle East. She had gone to Riyadh, and not Riyadh, the really fancy, rich place. She had gone to that place, and she had gone to Turkey, and she had gone to a few other, that's just totally, she's a girl from Kansas, So anyway, we talked about all of that, and she said, I don't want to know about that stuff. I don't, it was so beautiful and so this, and because he's a rich guy, and he showed her all the beautiful, rich things, right? And so, but, when she was, they went to the old part of the city, and they went, to the market, and they saw all the, kids selling themselves for sex, and it's like a natural thing. It's like, so she didn't want to look at that. She didn't want to see that. Right? So anyway, remember, don't believe a word I say. It's all stories. It's all fake news. And I'm a mega guy. Got my red hat, and I got my red coat, and I love Johnny. I really do. He's doing stuff to the planet and the world. Like when he said, yeah, we're going to take over the Gaza Strip and turn it into a big strip mall. It's got the strip in its name. So, yeah, we're going to have titty bars, and yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be great again. I'm going to put my name on all the buildings. We kind of have to get rid of the 2.8 million people, but hey, we'll send them some real place nice. They're going to be a really nice place. They'll be happy. Yes. It's quite unusual. It's quite freaking amazing. But it is where we are. And you don't stick your head in the sand. I don't have to do these shows. I could just stay in the deep green. I kind of went out of my way to come here and charge up my little thing and get on the internet and talk to you. But I'm going to go back into the deep green and not get out for a few days. So you won't see me, or you might. Depends on how the rock rolls. So anyway, so I'm gonna leave now. Okay. Hope you like the shows.